So you were a professional football player?
Yes, I did play football. It was like a dream to me. It was always about football. Everything was about football. I needed to play.
Walter Vaz, better known as the personal trainer HK.
He is a professional athlete and a certified personal trainer. He loves to help people unlock the potential of a better version of themselves through a healthy lifestyle.
I'm keen to learn about your upbringing. I don't think we have to touch on that.
I think nobody really went into this. Born in Paris, mom decided to move us to the countryside, a small village, 500 people. I mean, I was definitely the only black family in the neighborhood. It was tough coming up. You have to face polite discrimination, little jokes, how I look, when people would just put you in a certain box because you're different. It's really a true fight to fight that every day.
What's the one thing that Walter says to himself when life is a bit mean to him?
Success comes with a price, and are you willing to pay that price?
Someone once said to me, aim for the moon, and even if I don't make it, I might end up amongst the stars. 4.5 years ago, I got stuck. I made it my mission to spread positivity and help 1 million people to think differently. If you also believe that our world needs more positive energy, please join us on the journey. I'm Aaron Pang, and this is the Transformative Purpose. Walter,
Yes.
welcome.
Thanks for having me, man.
I've been looking forward to this chat. We last connected, I think, mid last year.
Something like that. We kind of postponed this thing for almost a year, I think. But glad to be here, man.
Yeah.
Glad to finally sit down, because I don't do that a lot. Actually talk about me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really do that. Usually my job is to teach and share what I know. So it's nice this time to dig in me.
I'm looking forward to getting to know you better too.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to kick off our conversation with a question that our previous guest wanted to ask you. So his name is Henry Chamberlain.
Okay.
He's a psychologist and he trains coaches, executive
Okay.
coaches.
Yeah.
So his question for you is, what makes your life meaningful? What gives you joy and fulfillment?
It's a very interesting question. What give my life meaning, I guess it's I always think about legacy. I like to think that what can I leave behind me, because I can't take anything away from this planet. So I always think about how can I impact people, right, or my surrounding. I think that's what brings meaning to my life. I think that knowing that I could leave something behind.
Yeah. Where'd you get that from?
From books, on podcasts that I do listen a lot. I'm not a great reader, actually, but I love watching video podcasts and on about everything. To be honest, I love listening people passionate about something, share what they know about that thing. Right? I think that's what I mostly do through the day. I think I'll do that.
Beautiful. So you were a professional football player?
Yeah, yes, I did play football. It was like a dream when I was growing up, right? To me, it was always about football. Everything was about football. I needed to play, and I was, and lucky me, I made it to the pros. Really enjoyed that life. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. At what age did you retire? Are you still playing?
It's a tough. To be honest, the transition it's rough. You know, to come to say like, okay, it was a dream of mine, but it cannot last forever. You know, it had to stop. And so I'm still in that transition where I have less thirst for it. I know that for a fact, right? So I'm not even chasing to go back to the higher leagues. I had a couple offers outside and within Hong Kong, but am I fully retired? No. I want to say there's a little bit of me in that world, but I think about 80% is out. Because in fitness bringing me so much joy, and you know, it's almost like today's day. Today, if you ask me, I will not trade, you know, not even 6 months of contract at a professional level for what I do now. So it's 80%.
Yeah.
You know.
How long ago did you make that transition?
As you can imagine, when COVID hit 3 years ago, so I was about, you know, closing my 30th year, you know, and I started asking myself the question, you know, what's next? Okay, this is going to be over soon, you know, at best I could get 1 or 2 more contracts that's really gonna please me, and then what? So, and then you start thinking about this thing, where am I gonna be after that? Because I only see myself as a football player, ever since I was a kid. This is it. You're gonna play ball until you don't even think about retirement, right? So it came about 3 years ago, going through COVID, when it was tough because contract was getting canceled. There was no more play time and stuff. So it came to that. It's a long process. It's very long. Any football player will tell you that it takes years to come to the conclusion that this is it. So it's tough. It's a very tough moment.
Yeah. That's probably something I can't relate. I mean, I had a dream to play in the NBA when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Obviously never made it. That's
Yeah.
why we're having this
That's
conversation.
no.
So were you a pro in France or were you a pro here?
I was a pro here. In France, I never had the opportunity to play to France because we moved very early. I was 17 when we moved out. But I was pro here in Hong Kong, yes. Pretty good life as a professional player in Hong Kong. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. And how did you find your love for football?
I get this question a lot, especially from kids. They always ask me, how did it start? Well, the truth is, I grew up in a neighborhood first of all, France. I grew up in France, which is a very football country, right? I mean, everybody play football somehow. And, and kind of like this competitive feeling when you go out with the friends and they all play. So let me go try myself and see if I could play. I think it started there. And then obviously you, as a kid, you fantasize and dream about these players and how they live and the celebration of the goals and all the attraction they get from just playing football, So I think it started there,
Who's your favorite football player?
It's easy. I think to me the best football player I will not go with Messi and Ronaldo because it wasn't my era, to be honest, because I was born just before they were there. But I will go with George Weah, which is a Liberian international, actually president of Liberia right now, from West Africa. I think he was just phenomenal. And when he came, or when I was growing up, because he came through France and he was playing in Paris, I was just amazed by the strength he had, and he was so charismatic. He was just phenomenal player. Completely enjoy, and I told myself I want to be like him. I want to be tall. I want to be big. I want to be fast. I want to be a number 9.
You're pretty tall. You're pretty big. I never played football with you, so I don't really know how fast you are.
and I end up being a number 9, and just like him, definitely idol. Fantastic player, fantastic on and off the field, and I mean he went today. He's president now, so just tell you the quality of a man he was. Truly, I think for me the best at all time for me. And then I'm sure people will debate me on this, but for me he's the best.
Yeah, we'll insert some clips in the conversation here. What has football taught you?
What football taught me. It taught me discipline, I think, and I think it definitely improved my social skills. It's almost growing up in a family of a lot of siblings, right? It's almost like you become better at people management, right? You're in a locker room with a lot of guys. You have to have a certain understanding that some people didn't grow up the way you grow up. And you need to see beyond like who they are, in some ways connect with those people, because it's a team sport. You need these guys to be on your side, even though you maybe don't like him, or he doesn't see the life the way you do. You must find a way to connect with these guys. I think it's a huge challenge and I think there's a lot of football players don't talk about this, but there's locker rooms. I mean, because when you see us out on the field, you think like we're the best buddies there is. But the truth is, there's a lot of, there's a lot of looks. Some people don't like others. But the professional world teaches you to look above that, right? We're here for a common goal, so let's focus on the outcome. It's winning the game, not on the little bitty stuff going on because you just, I don't know. It could be anything, right, at this point. And the discipline of it is following a routine, training, believing in result, and, be consistent with your job and knowing that it's a long journey, it's a long season, that nothing's going to happen in one game. It's little by little, you just repeat stuff and again and again and again and again. I mean, I did the control and pass, which is I know how to do today for sure. And I always knew how to do it. But when you get to training, the first drill we do is control and pass. And it's a simple stuff, right? And if you don't understand that, we want you to master that to the point where it's almost like second nature to do it. So the discipline of it, to perfect it, to keep doing it and keep doing it. So the discipline, I think, that's what we'll take away from football, for sure. That's the biggest thing.
I'm keen to learn about your upbringing. I don't think we have to touch on that yet.
No, I think nobody really went into this, but this must be the right place for me. So I grew up I was born in France, right? My both parents were immigrants, so they came to France. Born in Paris, lived in the city until I was 7 years old. And then mom decided to move us to the countryside, a small village, 500 people. I mean, I was definitely the only black family in the neighborhood. But it was tough coming up, like I said, because you have to face so young, like I call it polite discrimination. Well, when people will just, put you in a certain box because you're different, right? So, and it's really a true fight to fight that every day, So you grow up in a neighborhood like this, and you almost have to make.
What do you mean by polite discrimination? What would be an example?
Well, it'd be little jokes, about how I look and why I look a certain way, or even what am I doing here? Like they will tell you something. For the let's say the most how can I call it? The most aggressive ones will say, "Oh, why don't you just go back home?" But then, as a kid, I'm 10 years old. This is home. I was born here. So to learn how to, to recognize who you are and your place in society, going through this was tough growing up. But when I look back today, I'm telling myself, well, thank God I went through this, because it opened my mind, to different cultures. I understand, like I don't get offended that easily. It's not foreign anymore for me, for somebody to look at me in a different way, because I went through this, so that I know. So, 17 years old, my mom moved us to the U.S. When we spent 5 years, tough life. I went from, I always say, I went from 17 to a man in these 5 years. I barely remember me being 20, 21, 19. I didn't do the fun stuff like kids do because life was tough. And not only we went there as, as let's say I wasn't fully developed as a man, but we also live in a country without paper, so without no green cards, without, access to things that we should have access to. And I grew up so fast because I realized that all the things that I had, and I didn't actually, grab those opportunities when I was in France. But now that all these things are taken away, the only thing you think about is the day I get this, or the day I have access to, what people have access to, I'll do something with it, So tough life, as you can imagine. I mean, being in the United States without even be able to work, even to go to school, like all these things.
So where'd you live?
So what we did is we sold the house back in France. We live in Miami, in the suburb of Miami first. But at some point we couldn't even afford anymore. So we have to move in, let's say, in more affordable areas, so very tough neighborhood. And from there, I decided to take it from there. For my part, I knew football will take me out at some point, only if I work at this, I needed to become the best, because as you can see back then, my Inter Miami didn't exist, and there was no football in South Florida. It was just semi-professional teams, and that was about it. But I don't know, somehow I believe that if I'm the best around here and enough people talk about me, it might fall in the ear of somebody. So, and I decided to work, man. I was just relentless. The only thing I had in my brain was being a football player. And to me, it was definitely, it was reachable, It was almost like I was meant to do this. So it took me 5 years of serious, work on myself, because it's hard, It's a lot of hours at the park by yourself. A lot of doors are closing because you get to the point I was very good. I could feel I was very good. So you have high school reaching out in college, and I will do the test and the tryout, and when I get to the door, they were like, but you're not even American. I said, you don't have a green card. How can we get you in a system? So you get all these things.
How'd you react to those?
It's the first one hurt, the second one does, and then the third one you realize that, maybe it's not here. So I start thinking maybe it's somewhere else, maybe. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like I was manifesting this thing, and then I had a call, man. Couldn't believe it myself. I had a call from this team in Uruguay. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what Uruguay was back then. Never picture, not even thought like.
So this is Uruguay country.
Uruguay country, yes.
Wow.
Right. So an agent, a friend of a friend, apparently came once, recorded me, and went back and talked to this club. I have this phenomenal kid. He's playing Miami. He's the best in South Florida. And he's young. He's 23 years old. We need to take him. 23 is very old in the professional world, right? But, when something is made for you, it's made for you. So he came back to me, and I turned him down because I couldn't believe it. So I said, what, Uruguay? I don't know about this country. And besides, I don't speak Spanish. And no way. I always thought my career would be somewhere comfortable where, I know the language, I know the game. I never thought. So I turned him down. And 3 months, again, he came back. And this one, he stayed 2 weeks in Miami and said, I need to convince you to come down. This is serious. So he had a contract, a pre-contract sent from the club showing that this is serious. Like, this is not just you going for a trial. You're going to walk into a team, So I had to make a hard decision then because as much as I love my dream, I'm leaving people behind, I'm leaving my mom and all my siblings. So it was a tough choice, man. So my mom told me to go, and I told myself, well, maybe I need to try to do something, right? Mm. If anything, I will actually help them if I leave. Right?
Why do you say that?
Because it's less money spent on another person, and if I start making money, then I can actually help them, right? So it's another salary coming into the house. So I went and tried, Definitely went to the unknown. And it was scary. I got there, and it took me about 6 months to really understand that this is where I'm going to be, and I need to and this needs to work, right?
So was that your first time you stepped into Uruguay?
First time I stepped into Uruguay. First time I leave home on my own, and you just land in a.
Do you feel welcome?
Yeah. Uruguay is a very welcoming country. It's like a big village. People are so nice. The only problem was the culture. It was very tough for me to adapt to their culture and to their language. It took time, but eventually I made it. Learned who they are, how they speak, how to speak, and then it rolled, man. Loved it. Spent 2 years of my life there. 2 years and a half, sorry. And then Hong Kong came. The first time Hong Kong came, 2016.
How long were you in Uruguay for?
2 years and a half.
Okay. And then you transitioned to
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, right. Tell me the first day you went to the football club and you met all these amazing, football players.
The first locker room.
Let's talk about the first locker room experience.
I remember. I remember that the night before I went to bed because I was just tired. But that morning I was so nervous, and I was going there with one of the staff, I think, the guy who was responsible for the balls or something like that. And he took me in his car, and then we get to the locker room, to the training complex, and I'm the first one there, right? And so it's morning, it's quiet, so I enter the locker room, I'm by myself, and I'm just waiting for the guys to reach. So in my head, I'm thinking, what kind of player I was going to see? Like, those guys, I mean, they were on TV this weekend, like, you know. So it's tough. So, and then they start walking in, and you get a bit, you know, you feel judged. I'm pretty sure they were not judging me, but I felt completely judged and completely like, you know, I cannot miss this training because they're going to think I'm not good. They're going to think less of me. And first, I'm coming from the amateur level. They all know, like, I'm not coming from like the third team of the club or the academy. I'm coming from like the street, basically. All right. So it's very nervous. And the first training was tough. I didn't do well because I was just overthinking everything, because thinking like people actually looking at me in a different way. Right. You know, but, remember, see those, you know, a lot of admiration, the level of fitness of football. It was just so fast. It was just, and they were so mature in their game. I was like, I don't think I can do this, man. And I remember the coach came to me with his little English, the assistant coach came to me with his English, and he said, don't worry, this is what we have preseason for. We're going to get you ready. That's what he said. He said, we're going to get you ready. Don't worry about it. Like, you know, this is step by step. We don't expect you to come here and the first day to just, you know, it's going to take time. You know, I need you to be okay with this.
Sound like a nice guy.
Very fantastic. And it took my time. You know, I made it to the first team, but it took me about a year to really settle, to have the language, and it was rolling by the.
What did you do in that year to get yourself ready mentally and physically?
Learning the language, and a lot of training. I mean, everything I thought that I knew obviously went back to zero because I didn't do anything. And being okay, receiving, you know, others' opinions. I needed to work on that. But a lot of work, a lot of discipline, you know, and being okay that result might not come right now. You know, I might be working on this today. I might see it in 2 years from now, and it's okay. You know, not being envious for others who playing, not you know, kind of like grow jealousy towards other players. You know, like I say, people management. You know, you need to be able to manage yourself also. Just stay on track. You know, that's why because it's tough. You know, you're there on the bench and you're watching others gain all the glories, and your heart knows you can do what they do. Right? In your heart, you know it. You can see yourself doing it. And did I have the body and, you know, to produce that? No. And
But you were visualizing.
Visualizing, yeah. I know, it's just a matter of time, you know. And I started late, you know. And you see the starting 11 is a kid is 19 years old. I'm 23 and I'm not starting. It's because he's more advanced. You know, he started earlier. He followed the academy. I'm from the street. There's certain basics I don't have. You know, so I needed to go back, you know, and learn all these things. So it took but it was the price to pay, you know. And I was okay with this after a while. And I started feeling more comfortable. And yeah, it got better. It got better, Aaron. It got better after this.
Yeah. And I want to learn about your habits, right? You talk about all these negative thoughts, negative self-talk that you experience.
Yeah.
Not very pleasant things that you heard. And like a lot of these things that you shared, they do resonate with me on many levels. So I was born and raised in Hong Kong, but I lived in Australia, Sydney for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, being called names, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Bob, you know, get home, you know, you don't belong here. I've heard all those things.
yeah.
Right? How did you react? Like, did you just suck it all in, just swallow all in, and you just keep moving? Have
Well,
you
like
ever
me,
reacted?
I have no. I never reacted in the wrong way. The good thing is I you know, I learned pretty young that those people are just close-minded and they haven't seen much but what they have here. You know, I'm from a different place. I've seen more. Therefore, I know more. But I had a great humor. I always been a joker. So, even though they would be mean, I was always funnier. So that was my weapon,
Oh yeah.
I could always make fun of you.
Really?
No matter who you are. So I was like protecting myself like this to the point where people were actually afraid to come against me because they know like, well, I would lose the battle. And eventually Walter is just so comfortable in who he is. And he doesn't, like, I was not afraid to put myself down so I can make you look stupid. I don't know if you can say that on here, but it to make you look stupid, right? So that was how I counterattack all these things.
Yeah. Because trash talk is pretty common in the sports.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. It's
How do you actually see trash talk?
I mean, I have to trash talk too. There's no other way, But it's a mind. It's a mind game, right? It's how low can I bring you down? In a professional level, usually it's just 90 minutes, right? I promise you, after the game, we all friends. Like there's nothing going on. There's nothing, but it's just in the game. We need to find a way to take you out of your game. So there's a lot of. Trust me, I'm probably the most hated player there is actually in Hong Kong because of my trash talk. But at the end of the game, I always found a way to go apologize to who I did that to and shake his hand and say, listen, it's just all sport. Usually at that level, we do understand that this is just, for the show and the lights. It's never serious. It's never serious.
So after a couple of years, you moved to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Joined Hong Kong as a pro football player.
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
So the first contract, I did 6 months. And the original story is I had a hard time adapting to the country. It's completely wrong because I've been everywhere. I've been to other countries, tougher than Hong Kong. So it wasn't that. It was just I didn't find joy. I feel like the passion that I had, the club didn't have the passion that I had for the game. I don't know if you know what I mean. I didn't find love in how they were playing, And I'm coming from a country like Uruguay where people play they play for their family. It's not even, they must play, they must make it, right? You play for your kids, to feed your family. It was different in Hong Kong. People here, have a great upbringing, They have half of the team coming to training with cars. They already have everything. They don't know no pain. So they get into the game, whether they win or they lose, it's okay, For me, it was the first time after the game somebody come to me and say, oh, unlucky. In this game, we don't believe in luck, which is rather you
work.
Exactly. It's hard work. And I didn't find that, and it hurt me, man. And so I decided to leave, So I went I went somewhere else, find myself in Egypt. No, Cyprus first, and then in Egypt, just to come back to Hong Kong for a second time. Play here. I really loved my second round in Hong Kong. Went to a club. Unfortunately, it was a losing team. Nothing I could do. Even Messi will not change the future of that club. So left again, and more mature this time. Went to Sweden. Play in Sweden about 6-7 months. And then went to Greece after that. What I believe I played my best football. I was completely mature enough to understand what it was, what I wanted in the industry, and until COVID. And COVID took me out to what I believe is the best country in the world. And find myself back here again for the third time.
Yeah.
Through COVID.
You gonna stay here for good?
Yeah, now, yes. Yes, the funny thing is every time I leave Hong Kong or every time I enter Hong Kong, I tell myself, I'm never leaving this place. That's what I said the first time. That's what I said the second time. But this time for sure, I know that my bags are here. I'm not going anywhere, Because I just love it, man. Something about Hong Kong is unique. I could never explain to you. And like I tell to people outside when I travel back to France, I could never explain you what Hong Kong is. It's one of those places you need to come and just experience it.
Yeah. And
right?
And don't believe what the media says.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not, because they're killing us. But it's not China. I keep telling you, it's not China, man. It's something else.
Yeah.
And it has its own unique way of existing. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I love this. I love this city so much, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that Hong Kong is welcoming you back for the third
For the
time.
third time, yeah.
Hopefully you'll stick around, for
Yeah.
good. And
I will.
we can have more conversations like this.
Absolutely.
So you transitioned into personal fitness, right? And how long have you been doing that? 5-6 years?
So 3 years
3 years.
soon, actually. 3 years. It's gonna be 3 years pretty soon. It's been actually, I came back as a football player. I told myself, okay, I'm 30 years old. Like I was telling you earlier, I might have a couple of contracts left in me. Why not? Sorry. And because COVID was so tough, a friend of mine was actually a football player, was doing personal training part-time, right? So he told me, well, I'm doing personal training part-time. Just come in, have a look, and maybe something that could, keep your mind open. He was telling me, just keep open-minded, right? There's a lot of things you can do in Hong Kong. It's a land of opportunities here. It is money everywhere, so you just need to be clever. I said, all right, So that Tuesday morning, I wake up, he come in and pick me up. We went, and I just there with him, and I was just see what he was doing, and I just took one look at this, and I was like, I can do this. Like I don't know, like how I don't even know if I'm good at this. Like but I told myself I could do this. I'm sure of it. So so for a month or so, for almost about 3 weeks, I was watching him doing it. And then he had this couple that came to him, and it was a man and a woman. And the man wanted basically to build muscle, and the woman wanted to lose weight, which is two different programs. So he said, well, I can train both, right? But I have, another guy, a friend of mine, which is, he's ex-football players. He's a professional, like he knows about, running stuff, and, he kind of like sold me to that woman, saying like, yeah, he's a coach, he's great, whatever. And so he sent me that woman to my way, and I did 1 hour, completely nervous. I think today when I look back, it was just completely terrible coaching. I mean, I can't even.
What did you do with her?
I can't. If I say anything, it will just scatter my reputation. So, but it was so bad. Anyway. But the funny thing is, after I finished that hour, I was like, oh my God, like I'm so good at this, I can do this, right? Like at that point, I was convinced that I'm going to be a personal trainer. I need to do it. So, I need to start really learning about this thing, how to do. So I started basically watching other personal trainers, listening podcasts about fitness, and then I stumbled into this thing. I said, well, man, but you need education. You can't a client cannot just approach you and say, I got pain here. You just tell him, yeah, that's your leg. No, you need to be precise. You need to tell him exactly what is it and what can we do and what exercise we need to avoid for, to not get injured and stuff. So, I started the freelance. So I started as a simple trainer. And then I found myself a second client, which is today my oldest client ever. She was there at the beginning. I wasn't even the personal trainer HK back then. It was just Walter. And she came in, and then off Facebook, I got a third client. And then I was like, okay, this time is legit, right? I've been doing this, like I started 2 months ago. Now I got 3 clients. It's 3 bodies. I'm responsible for their health, the physical health. And this time I need to take this seriously. So then I started looking into the certification of the NASM. And I said, I need to get certified. And so it's a bit of a challenge because, as you can imagine, English is my third language.
I can't tell.
And so there's a certain level of understanding, of a level of English you need to reach. You actually understand the question and stuff. Yeah. So the studying was pretty rough because I haven't been challenged like that for a long time. And so it took me time to have the CPT. I failed once. And I thought I failed twice, but actually I passed it. So 6 months into the industry, almost 6-7 months, I made it. I got certified. And then I just love, I was so proud of it. When I went for a second one, I told myself, well, now this is really on. If I want to be the best there is this time, I need to really get on the education side and understand what is it about personal training and, have knowledge, not just only the body and the physical, but also have a brain and understand what I do and, understand my client. So I start kind of like shifting into having a niche, starting refusing people because I was focusing on one specific persona of client. And then my partner came along, started dating this amazing lady, and she just told me, well, you should actually, make a business out of this, right? And give yourself a name, And I was like, it's true. I mean, why not try? Why not go legit? If I'm gonna do this for real, like, let's go legit, right? So, and she came up with a name. We were just there, sitting there. I was on the couch. I was going through names online and say, what can I call? Because I didn't want to call myself Walter Fit or Coach Walter. It was just too basic. I needed something that reflect, my dramatic demeanor. Very extra character that I have, very loud. Very, my presence and stuff. And so I'm going through the names, on the list on Google. You just write names, best name for personal trainer, right? That's what I put in a search bar. And I was asking her, so what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And she's like, so she wasn't responding. I say, yo, are you listening to what I'm saying? And she said, I just Googled the personal trainer HK, but nobody's called like that. Like personal trainer Hong Kong, like that doesn't exist. And she said, oh, even better. Why don't you just call the personal trainer of Hong Kong, right? And I said, we need to drop the off. We just call it the personal trainer Hong Kong or the personal trainer HK, right? It's fun. It's bold. It's catchy. It's easy to sell. And I told myself this has to be the name. So let's go with that. Remember that back then I was actually a nobody to have a name like that. To call yourself the personal trainer of Hong Kong when you actually, and I have like 4 clients or something. It's terrible. It's terrible. I was like, man, what am I doing? But somehow the name had so much weight that I had to do something with it, So I told myself, well, I'm going to have to be like a legit personal trainer. I mean, I'm going to be good on camera, good with my stuff, good with programming, and I'm going to need to increase my knowledge in the business industry, right? I mean, in the fitness industry, sorry. So went on and add on 4 more certification.
So how many do you have in total?
So 5 now. And I start investing in the thing, in the content and the coaches, making and networking and socializing and trying to bring my name out there and more clients, obviously. And I had a lot of clients and a lot of experience, and I realized today that, yes, I have the certification, but I think the other 50% of that is the experience of the work. Like the time you spend with clients is very, very important hours for me because you learn so much. I mean, because you get different characters, right? Different person on different days, and they challenge you. Those people really challenge you. And what do you know, and their bodies and how they recover. Did I push too much? Wasn't not enough. Loved it, and that's what bring me here today, Aaron. That's how it started.
I want to learn, how do you see health and how do you actually help people to break bad habits?
So, well, I usually use my own life experience, because I cannot use somebody else. And lucky me, I had a challenging, when it comes to the physical aspect, because what I do is I teach physical stuff, right? So I use my own, my own life to teach them about what wellness is to me. I always tell them that being fit, let's say, you want to be, because they always tell me they want to be fit, right? And I told them, what does that mean to you? Because if you're a baker, let's say, right, then your job is to bake all day. Then for you, being fit will be able to stand all day and bake. You're fit for what you're doing, right? I always tell them that you cannot just be fit for everything and anything, right? A cook is fit He is fit. He's a fit person because he can cook and stand all day. He is fit. I cannot do this with the physical strength that I had. I'll do one day. The second day I wake up, I will have cramps, sore muscle, I would be tired, my shoulders would be completely beat. Like, so I always tell them, so what is it fit, being fit, being healthy? What does it mean? I said most of the answer I get obviously was, I want to be able to take care of my kids, to not be tired and at 7 p.m. be able to, to cook for me and my husband. And, if I want to take the car and go for a drink or whatever, I want to be able to do that. So, okay. So that's what it means to you. And you asked me about, health. When health to me, it's just not repetition and sets, right? It's bigger than that. This is why the industry is so huge when it comes to fitness. It's not just about running, right? It's about eating good. It's about sleeping good. It's about being mentally good, and being active. It's all of these things. So when somebody say, to come back to what you said, you want to be healthy, I always tell them it's going to take more than me. I do not have the tools to get you healthy. I could get you fit at a certain extent, right? But I cannot get you healthy. That's going to require me, you, and other people with more knowledge to get you there. But what do you mean? Well, a healthy person, let's say, will sleep good, wake up with a smile in his face because you know who he is on the inside. You know who you are. You know where you're going. You're doing the job that you love, right? And then you go in front of the mirror, you like what you see because, your physical thing up. And then you go see your partner and you're happy to see her because she's the person that you chose and she's offering you a good life. That's being healthy. All of these things, right? And that will take a life coach, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and a physio and all these guys, right? Complete these things we call being healthy. You need to have a little bit of all of these guys to be healthy, if you know what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. So I always tell them, don't confuse both. Health is a huge space. And we are, us personal trainer, we're just a step of it. We're just one step inside. We're not the full thing, right? And so that's what it is. Healthy for me, it's all of these things. It's all of us fitness professionals together. We are health, if you know what I mean.
So you're part of that health ecosystem.
Exactly.
Right? But everyone plays a role.
Exactly.
You've got all these different specialists in the ecosystem and, where people can get help from.
Absolutely. That's what it is. That's what I'm convinced.
And your training style, being a professional athlete,
So,
do you work people really hard until they sweat and they can't do anymore? How do you train people?
So, to be honest, I have a soft approach. I told myself, and I know for a fact, thanks to football, that my job is not to get you to your 100% of your capacity, of your performance, like today. I believe that we need to go slow, but not that slow, a good pace, about a 70% of your capacity, right? So if you can do 20 push-ups, we're going to do 16 today. So tomorrow we can do 16 again. Because there's no way you can do 20 today, 20 tomorrow, and 20 so on. We can't do 100% every day because us, as a professional football player, we didn't train 100% every day. It's not possible. When do you recover, right? So I train my client. Every session is challenging, but it's doable. I want them to cross the finish line. That's what matters to me. We need to complete what's on paper today. We get your rest. Tomorrow we do the same. Or let's say after tomorrow we see it, because most of the time it's twice a week. We do it again. And we need to play the long run. Going to the gym today 5 hours, it's not going to change you. Going 10 minutes for 8 months, that's going to change you.
Yeah.
So this is the approach I have. Some people don't like it, unfortunately. And I keep telling them, there's no other way.
So people who don't like it, they're after shortcuts? Or
Exactly. So, exactly. They're after shortcuts. They believe that we have this understanding where if I do, the more I do, the more result I get. And it's not necessarily true. Or more, how you call it, no gain, no pain. This is not true also. It's all myth. don't have to be in pain to grow. It doesn't make sense at all, you know. And so people who shock at, you know, I tell them, you know, you're not ready. If you think that it is not up to you to decide that you're going to be fit in 6 months, your mind is telling you this, or you can see it. Didn't even ask your body if it can take you there? Because we have the notion of time. The body doesn't know what time is, right? The muscles, they don't have a clock, right? They're ready when they're ready, you know. And if you never prepare them to be ready in a certain way, if you never install structure in them, they just recover when they want. Now, we can run 10K today. Let's say we run 10K. Your body's exhausted, but you love running so much that you say, I'm going back tomorrow morning. Do you really think that the next day you're going to wake up? It's not up to you. Right? Your body will tell you, I'm sorry, buddy. Right?
Take a rest.
We need to stay in that bed this morning because we can't make this, man. Now, I know you want this, but you can't. And this is it's a huge block in newcomers when it comes to fitness. They came with these ideas, and when I try them for 1 week, what I do usually, the first session is on purpose. You know, I'm already apologizing for saying this, but I push them to the max. Like, I'm trying to see how hard they can go, and I want them to see exactly where they are, because usually where we think we are is usually not, right? And I want them to realize that after 1 day of sore muscle, 2 days of sore, in 3 days, in 4, 5, 7 days of sore muscle, then you realize that, man, I told the coach I wanted to work 3 times a week, but I don't think it's possible. You know, and then you start having the right mind. But the last 70% of people drop and say, like, yeah, no, rather the coach is not good, or maybe it's not the right time, you know, and any other excuses, right? And it's a bit sad that, you know, physically people don't know themselves well enough, or don't have the mental strength to pass that. But lucky for this is what we hear, you know, this is why we do this, you know, to teach them about these things, right? So yeah, that's what I will say to you know, to the new client, let's say, you guys.
Yeah, amazing. I gotta go to one of your classes. Let you test my threshold.
Yeah. Find out what's your VO2 max. Yes, that'd be nice.
Yeah, or maybe I'll bring my 2 little boys. Let you test on them.
They're probably gonna break all my equipment. These guys.
Or maybe like no more Uncle Walter. I don't want to see this guy anymore.
Oh man.
No,
yeah.
but I love health, and I've had 2, you know, life lessons where, you know, I had to put health as my first priority again. You know.
Yeah.
I think you might have read my story, but my face was paralyzed a couple of times in my life.
Yeah, I read that, man.
19
Shocking.
and then 32 again. I mean, there are a lot of people suffering, you know, even more serious illnesses, chronic illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful those things happened to me, because it made me realize how important health is.
Yeah.
Because I think health is one of those things that is invisible. And sometimes when you get a trigger, that reminder from your body, for some people it could be too late, right? So I think while we have time, we should really prioritize right, and really put in the work and work on our mind and also work on our body.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love what you said. The trigger thing. It is absolutely true. It's almost human. We must wait for a certain external trigger or some other things to actually make us realize that, man, I should do this. Because the truth is, thanks to today's society, that health and Instagram and Facebook, I mean, you see a million things about prevention and exercising and building your muscle and do this, do that. Do we really do this? No, because we always believe that it doesn't concern me. Definitely for other people.
It's not going to happen to me.
And recently, I had this thing. I was having a talk with another fellow coach, and he was telling me that, you know, that he had a client, you know, didn't know he had problem with his posture until actually he had a problem with his posture, and that could have been avoided if he knew earlier that he had this problem, right? And now he's suffering with his knee injury and his glutes, you know, pulling and this and knee that, and you know he's going through his 4th surgery now, and you know, so you kind of like neglect all these things we say about, you know, being healthy and stuff, and you find yourself in trouble. There's this disease called osteoporosis, right? Which is the bone density, right? So you're losing bone density at a huge rate, right? And the only way to find out that you have one is when you fracture a bone, right? But by that point, it's too late. You already have it, right? And it's invisible. How do you know you have osteoporosis? You never know. So the thing is to live in a way thinking that, am I gonna have this? And it would not cost me a lot if I could just have 10 minutes in my week just to do a little bit of jumping rope, just a little bit of plyometric, right? Just 10 minutes in the week, just to prevent that. Even if I don't see it, I don't feel it, it might come. Knowing, especially in women, because I just got certified in a woman fitness specialist, after 50 years old, 50% of women are at risk. One out of 5 women are at risk of having that disease. And trust me, it's not fun to have. I mean, it's fracture we're talking about. So every time, little things, a little fall and boom, right? Take you back 4 months of recovery and rehab. So I urge people to take action when it comes to your body, right? You need to treat it good.
Because we only have one.
I wish we can buy one. Unfortunately.
I have this saying, when we're young, we tend to use our health to buy wealth. And as we get older, we use wealth to buy health.
Absolutely.
It's a cliche, but it's
so
true.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah. Hey, man, you've been through a lot. You went through different countries. You left your mom and your sibling.
Yeah.
You haven't talked about your dad. So I just realized.
It's true.
Maybe I should have asked earlier.
Yeah, no, my dad is my hero, man. My dad is, because when we went, because my dad always been the worker at home, like the provider. So he was very proud of that. It's something he took very at heart, right? To provide for his kid. And he never failed us when it comes to that. I'm very proud of him. And, but my dad made me a man. And I think, I thank him a lot, because at some point when I was going through my career, I found myself having no contract, I think, after the first time I left Hong Kong. So I spent a year at home. And because when I left, I was a kid. I came back as a young man, almost an adult. Well, I thought I was, let's say. And the impact he had on me through that year, being so close to him, I finally realized what it was to be, or what was, the drive that he had, the wake up every day and go to work and make sure that we okay and all these things, right? I could never understand, because nobody really explained what a dad is, right?
You find out.
You find out. You have 2 kids now.
I heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
But the lesson really begins when you become one.
Exactly. And I finally, for the first time, saw him up close. And I told myself, this is fantastic, man. It's just this energy, man. This I'm ready for anything, for somebody else kind of thing. And no, my dad is definitely for me a role model when it comes to being a human being. Very nice, open. He really gave me the space to do what I want to do until today. Never been judged, always been given advice. Great man. Great man.
Well, thank you, Walter's moms and mom and dad,
yeah,
siblings and everybody. I wanted to ask you. You've been through so much, and people said things to you. You look, depending on where you go, you look a little different.
Yeah.
To some people. How did you motivate yourself? Do you have a model? Do you have a motivational quote? What's the one thing that Walter says to himself when life is a bit mean to him?
That everything is temporary. So I told myself. I think everything has, everything perish, even us. It doesn't matter, even me. Whether you do 150 burpees today, you're not going to make it to 145 years old.
And your body is going to be different tomorrow.
Exactly. So I know that everything is temporary, but I also know that success comes with a price, And everything come with a price. It's actually my dad say. And it's always about, are you willing to pay that price? It could be anything. Sometimes it could be time. Sometimes it could be, your ego. Sometimes it could be, managing, or I don't know, anything. But eventually it's temporary. When it's tough, I always tell myself that whatever I'm going through right now, it will finish one day, and I want that to finish in a good way. So, and especially me, very disciplined as I am, once I start, I must finish. There's no stopping in the middle. It doesn't matter. I need to go to whatever I'm doing. It must be done. Right? It's almost like once, I think Kobe Bryant said that once. He said it's like having a contract with yourself, right? Before making that decision, you're obviously negotiating with yourself. Right? You're telling yourself, okay, every morning I'm going to go for a run, right? So I'm this. And then you ask yourself, can I really do this? What if I'm sick, right? But you make sure in that contract, you mention that non-negotiable. Before you say, yes, I'm going to do this. It means that if one day it's raining, it's no negotiation. Like, you can't negotiate this. You must go because this is a contract, right? So, no, I think discipline, but most likely, this is my quote, everything is temporary.
Everything is temporary, and have a non-negotiable contract.
Non-negotiable.
I
Can't.
love that.
Can't.
Before we wrap up, a question you want to ask the next guest?
The question I want to ask the next guest is, why you do what you do?
Why you do what you do?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Walter, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat. I've learned so much about you, and it's such a privilege to sit, I guess, just across an ex-professional, football player who's now doing great things, helping people to become, healthier.
I hope I'm doing great things, but I would like to thank you, Aaron, because this is good. I love what you do, and I really hope that you get to serve Hong Kong and learn, because there's a lot of rich people here who have so much to share. I think you find joy in this.
Yeah,
for sure. But thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. Likewise. And here's my gift for you.
No, I get to have a gift. Oh man,
Yeah.
this is unstuck. Fantastic, man. I didn't know you wrote a book.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a few, wrote a few products in the last
Keep
few
inspiring others. That's good, man. That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a reader, but I'm going to read this.
Or
It's
give it to
for sure.
someone who might enjoy reading too.
Thanks, man.
Right.
Appreciate this.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you. Cheers.